welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this week's video. As you can see by the title, I went to a new cafe every single day for a week and I reviewed it for you guys so you don't have to. I made a little score sheet or a review table, if you will, where we will rate these cafes in terms of Wi-Fi, prices, aesthetic, location, drinks, and productive vibes, and then all total it up together at the end. For most of us, especially this year, since most of our classes are online, we don't really go to in-person classes, it's very difficult to find the motivation to work in your room, especially if your room is so little, your desk is right by your bed. I know for me, every time I want to sit by my desk and work, I just look at my bed and I want to sleep the whole time. I went to 5 different cafes, so hopefully this can help you find new places to study at each of these cafes. Just to keep a control variable, I ordered an iced coffee each time just to rank them and like make the video a little bit more interesting. And obviously this is exclusively in Stellenbosch. Okay, so at each of these cafes I worked. I took one task with me to review if these cafes are good to work at as well. So if you guys want to go there and work or whatever, then you can see how I experienced it. Obviously experiences for people are going to be way different. These are just my opinions and you guys can go there and see it for yourself if you want to. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so I think I should just preface and say the lower the scores, the worse it was, and the higher the scores, the better it was, obviously. Okay, so the first place we went to is called Schwenk. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm just gonna say Schwenk. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna rate Schwenk on is their Wi-Fi. Their Wi-Fi was a 4 out of 10, to be honest. It was slow. It still worked. It still like got the job done, but it took really long. It like almost didn't work, so that I'll give it a 4 out of 10. So if you want to go work there, maybe take with already downloaded files or like something you need to read or assignments you need to do where you don't really need the internet. That would be great because the Wi-Fi sucks. Next is the drinks. So as I told you guys, at each of these cafes I ordered an iced coffee. For the drink here, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. This drink was really good. It's one of the best iced coffees I've ever had. It was a big cup, big ice cubes, which I'm a huge fan of. That decaf coffee, because caffeine makes it's a no for me. So they had decaf coffee, which was honestly amazing. For the prices, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It was an average price, but the cafe definitely leaned towards the more expensive side. But for the size of the cup and how good the coffee like actually was, it was really good. So next we're gonna talk about the aesthetic. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It was very cute, rustic vibes. It was very clean, very bright, which is a big factor for me. I love when places are bright. It just makes me feel so much more productive and just makes me feel overall a lot better. It was like my vibe kind of, and it was very aesthetic. It was cute. And under the category of aesthetic, I included if a place had a toilet or not, because that is a huge factor for me. If a cafe does not have a toilet, I will most probably not go there because my bladder is about this small. Next we're gonna look at the location. The location, I gave it a 9 out of 10. So I live in Minerva Residence, which is like basically around the Victoria Street area. From Victoria Street, it's really not far to walk. It's about a 10-minute walk. And then lastly, we're rating the productive vibe. So here I gave the cafe a 7 out of 10. The table that I sat at was a little bit small, so it was difficult to fit a laptop and a book on the table, but there were other bigger tables available, but it was very full, so we just had to sit wherever we got space. The Wi-Fi honestly impacted the productive vibes. It's just very slow Wi-Fi. One thing to note is that they do play music in the background, and it was a little bit distracting because it was loud, but I had headphones in, so it wasn't too bad. So just if you want to read stuff or if, you know, noise bothers you, just take headphones with. And one big factor that was very important was if other people were working at that cafe as well, because when other people are working, it just makes me feel way more productive. At this cafe, people were working as well, so that was amazing. I loved that. And all of it total together came to about 44.5 out of 60. I know, very specific, but rounded all of these into percentages. So Schwenk got a 74% from me, which was good. I think I would go back there again to work at. Okay, so the next place we went to was a little cafe called Juvenate. First of all, the Wi-Fi was good. It was an 8 out of 10. It was pretty fast. It got the job done. Next, we're gonna rate the drink, which I got an iced coffee, obviously. The drink, I would rate it a 6.5 out of 10. It honestly wasn't the best iced coffee ever. It wasn't sweet. There was like no honey or sweetener or anything in it. It was just very bitter. I like my coffee with some honey in it. There's some honey in it. Or I think they did put honey honey in it, but I couldn't taste anything. The little glass it came in, it said Juvenate on it. It was very cute, and it came with a glass straw, which we love. Save the turtle, save the environment. I think you pay more for the aesthetic than you do for the actual drink, so just keep that in mind when you go there. It was very cute, but not the tastiest. And the prices for Juvenate, I would give it a 6 out of 10 because it is pretty pricey for what you get. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna rate it on is aesthetic. For me, it was an 8.5 out of 10, so a little bit higher than Schwenk. It was very cute, very my style. We sat outside, so it was very open and bright, very aesthetic. It has a toilet. The toilet's also very cute and very aesthetic. Overall, this place was just very cute, right up my alley. It was a very cute place. So next we're gonna rate the location, and for the location I gave this place a 6.5 out of 10 because honestly it was really far from Victoria Street and we had to walk. I think it was 20 minutes, like 15 to 20 minutes. Obviously that's not super far. We had work to do, so it was quite far. We sat outside right by the street, so it was quite noisy with all the cars driving past and people walking by, so it was quite noisy and a little bit distracting. And then lastly we're gonna rate it on productive vibes, and for this I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. I think I was really productive here. I think it was just because I had a lot of deadlines to meet, maybe that like added to it. Despite all the traffic and like the people walking by, I could concentrate, like it wasn't too distracting, so I did get a lot of work done. But the one thing that I will say is other people weren't working outside, so people were enjoying their time with their friends, but I saw people working inside. So if you want a more productive vibe and a little bit more quiet, then I would suggest that you would sit inside. The tables were also nice and big, so I could fit my laptop and a book and my drink and my glasses. Like it was a nice big table and there was no music, so that's honestly a plus. For Juvenate, I gave a 42.5 out of 60, which is 70%. I actually do recommend it. It's really nice if you have a little bit more money to spend. It's a health cafe, so if that's what like you like and you want to experience, it's really cute and I do recommend it. Next cafe we went to was a little coffee shop called Mills Coffee House. So the Wi-Fi at Mills was a 6 out of 10, so a little bit above average. It worked, it wasn't super fast, but it got the job done. I attended an MS Teams call there and it cut out a few times because the Wi-Fi was not the greatest, but I could still attend my call, so it wasn't that bad. Next we're gonna look at the drinks, and once again I had an iced coffee. Usually with iced coffees, the ice cubes are big solid ice cubes, like just normal ice cubes. They're not crushed or anything, and that's how I prefer my iced coffee. I love big ice cubes, but this iced coffee had crushed ice in it and it wasn't my favorite, so I rated it a 6 out of 10. I just don't like crushed ice in iced coffee. But the cup was very big. It was literally like a milkshake cup. They had decaf coffee. The flavor of the coffee was honestly really good. It was not too sweet. Then with the prices, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. It definitely also leans to the more pricey side, but for my iced coffee and how big the cup was, it was actually a good price. Next we're gonna rate it on aesthetic, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's just because it's not my vibe, but obviously in the clips you guys are gonna see if you like it. The vibes were honestly quite rustic and old, retro and very colorful, and it was cool. It was a really cool vibe, and a lot of the decor pieces were very cute and I really liked it. It was like vintage. It reminded me of like an old cafe that you would see in movies, like a racer cafe or like a cafe where they had like the jukeboxes and stuff like that. It was quite cute. It was just not my style. It had a toilet. The toilet was outside of the cafe and it wasn't the most aesthetic toilet ever, but it had a toilet at least, so that was good. It was very dark in here, which I don't like when a place is very dark inside. Next we're gonna rate it on location, and for this I gave it an 8 out of 10. It wasn't too far to walk, again like a 10-minute walk. It wasn't too noisy as well. It was quite quiet area when you sit inside. However, one of the waiters told me one time when I was there, if I wanted to sit outside with my laptop and my phone and things, it's quite dangerous because people can just walk by and like grab things. That's what she said. So it's preferred that you would sit inside, which outside is much nicer because it's much brighter, but also it's more dangerous. Then lastly we're gonna rate it on productive vibes, and I gave this a 9 out of 10. I honestly felt very productive here. I attended a call, I did so many readings. There was music playing in the background, but it honestly didn't bother me at all. I was in grind mode. Like the music was not too loud either, so it wasn't distracting at all, but just have headsets as well. Tables were very nice and big. I could fit literally everything on that table. Other people were working at Mills as well, so it just added to the whole productive vibe, and it just was very, very good. For Mills, I gave a final score of 42.5 out of 60, which was 70%, which was good. Mills, Coffee House, and Juvenate are like on the same level for me. So next we went to a cafe called Hygge. On the menu it tells you how to pronounce it, and it was like Hygge. So I don't know how to pronounce this cafe's name, but for the purpose of this video I'm just gonna say Hygge. So the Wi-Fi at this cafe was honestly the best Wi-Fi out of all of them. I gave it a 9 out of 10. It was very fast, very efficient, and it got the job done. Next we're gonna rate the drink, and guys, the iced coffee I had at Hygge, it was the best iced coffee out of all the other cafes. It was so good. The milk was so frothy and creamy. The ice cubes were so big. It looked so aesthetic. It had a little biodegradable straw, which we love. There was just the right amount of honey in there. That decaf coffee, it was great. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it to the fullest. The cup size was also really nice, and it just overall it looked very aesthetic. So for the drinks, I gave that a 10 out of 10. This is so good. Then for the prices, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 because it was average priced, obviously always leaning towards the more expensive side. This is Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is just very expensive, but it is a little bit better than you expect for a place that's so aesthetic. I don't know if that makes sense, but like it's better than you would expect it to be. Next we're gonna rate the aesthetic, and I gave that a 9 out of 10. This place was right up my alley for decor, vibes, the aesthetic. It was very, very, very nice. The place is intimate. It's a small place, but it's also not too small to where you feel claustrophobic or you're too close to other people. It has a toilet, which is amazing, and the toilet's also very cute. It has a very modern vibe. It has lots of plants everywhere, bright as well, and they have this huge mirror where you can like go take pictures in. So now we're gonna do the location. Was also a 9 out of 10. It wasn't far to walk at all, 10 minutes. The location is also really nice because it wasn't very loud, but bear in mind we were sitting on the inside, so I can't really account for how the noise levels were outside because there is seating outside as well. Last but not least, we're gonna do the productive vibe. For this place I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. I felt very productive here, mainly because so many other people were working as well. As you guys know, that's a big factor for me, but I will say the music is very loud in there and it's very, very distracting. I recommend you take earphones with. The tables were a decent size where I sat. I could fit my laptop and a book on there, but there are bigger tables at other places in the cafe, and that one I gave a 52 out of 60, which was 87%. So this one did really good in my books. Last but not least, we went to a cafe called Bootleggers, which most of you probably know about. The Wi-Fi at Bootleggers was an 8 out of 10. It was good, it was fast, it got the job done. The drinks, I ordered an iced coffee obviously, and I have to say that the iced coffee here was a solid 4 out of 10. It wasn't that good. It was the worst one by far out of all of them. It wasn't sweet at all, even though they did add honey in it. It had almost no ice cubes in it. There were little ones floating at the top, which I just don't like that at all. But the milk was nice and frothy. They had decaf coffee, and I really liked the glass that it came in. For the prices for Bootleggers, I'd give it a 5 out of 10, leaning more towards the pricey side, and the iced coffee was pricier than most of the other cafes I went to, and it was the worst one that I had. Next we're gonna do the aesthetic, and for the aesthetic I gave it a 7 out of 10. Cute, modern, the decor was really nicely placed, and it was a good vibe in there. It was very cute. I like Bootleggers. I like what it looks like on the inside, but I would just say that it's very, very, very dark inside. If you want to work inside, just keep in mind that it is very dark. There is also seating outside, and last but not least, it had a toilet, and the toilet was also, it was clean and it was nice. The location for Bootleggers was a 9 out of 10. It was the closest cafe to walk to from Victoria Street, and it's a nice location. It's nice and quiet, but it is still central, so that was really nice. We're gonna rate the productive vibes, and I gave this an 8 out of 10. The tables were nice and big, so it could fit everything on there. there. We sat on couches. The seating is honestly very comfy. The music was really soft in the background. I almost couldn't even hear it, but it added like a nice ambiance, so it like made me more productive in a weird way. So I really liked that, and it wasn't too distracting at all, and others were working in this cafe as well. Final score for Bootleggers was a 41 out of 60. That equated to 68%. So according to my scores, my favorite cafe was, I think you guys already know, was Hygge, and it got an 87%. My least favorite one was unfortunately Bootleggers, just because the coffee was very disappointing and it was very dark in there, but I still do recommend going there. I recommend all of these places. They were all really good cafes to work at. That was the end of my little review section, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I gave you some good and relevant information. Please let me know down below if you liked this video, anything that I could improve on in the future. If you guys would want to see these videos again, make it like a series or something. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to, and also my socials, my Instagram, Snapchat, everything is always in the description below if you want to follow that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day further or night or whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.